block your vote? Okay, raise your hand if you're African American. Now, keep your hands raised and raise your hand if you're a woman. Keep your hands up if you're African American and if you're a woman. And raise your hand if you're under 21. And now raise your hand if you think that you should have the right to vote. Now, keep your hand up if you actually did vote.
Hello, I'm Hazelton. Did you know more people in the United States check their Facebook and watch the Super Bowl than exercise their right to vote? We've got some serious issues to deal with. So how come so many of us don't even bother to vote? Is it because we don't care? Or maybe it's because we don't know our history. So let's go back, way back. Our country's first election came after fighting for our independence. A fight that cost many lives, but it was worth it because instead of being ruled by a king, we were finally able to make our own laws. But not everybody was allowed to participate. You see, back then, you had to own property, be white, and a man in order to actually vote. Now, things continued that way for about 80 years, until after the Civil War, when slavery was abolished and all men were given the right to vote.
Now, hold up a minute. Just because we had the right to vote didn't mean we could use it. See, all these new voters wanted to participate, which threatened the people in power and their ability to stay in power. So they tried to stop us with violence and shady new requirements like literacy tests and poll taxes. We had to fight for nearly 100 years before the Voting Rights Act passed, which finally outlawed these dirty tricks.
And you weren't the only ones that had to fight for your right to vote. Somehow women got left out and had to organize and fight state by state. Until we took our fight to Washington and finally got our right to vote all across the country. And even once the laws guaranteed every person the ability to vote, you still had to be 21 in most states. So when our government began drafting people under 21 to go fight in Vietnam, they realized their lives were at stake and they had no say. Young people all across the country rose up in protest and demanded that everyone over 18 should be allowed to vote.
And since then, young people's votes have been crucial in deciding lots of big elections. Like in 2008, when a black candidate had a real chance to become president, young people showed up in record numbers. Or every year, we make up a larger share of the voting population, giving young people more power, but only if we participate.
So let me break it down. Together, there is so much we can decide. Like whether or not we should go to war, or how we spend our money, and how we power our lives.
We can determine who has the right to marry, and who has the right to choose, what possessions should be outlawed, and whether or not we should legalize.
It's up to you to make your choices and shape our future. If we sit on the sidelines, then others will make it work for them instead of us. So let's make our voices heard.
So what would it take for you to vote?
So, that was like a little background that I thought was really interesting. And so these are some of the issues that are important to us, and these specifically here are important to African American people: poverty, education, war. And these are important to women specifically: abortion, birth control, and equal pay. And these are specifically important to young people: jobs, financial aid, and the economy. And then here it just says that how much they're important to young. This is young people altogether. So altogether, to young people, the economy is important to 86% of people, which is like almost all young people. And this is only the ones that are like making their voice heard. So you might not even agree with this. You might be more, like, abortion might be more important to us, but they don't even know that because we're not voicing our voice. Okay. In the 2008 presidential election, 45% of African Americans did not vote. 44% of women didn't vote, and almost around, like a little less than 50% of young people didn't vote, and 42% of us aren't even registered. 46% of all people did not practice their right to vote. Why? Why don't you guys vote? According to the 1996 U.S. Census, 7.6% of people said that they were too busy, which I think that it's probably more than that. And the 34% was other. So those are just the reasons. The only real reason would be the ill, I would think, 17%. It is vital that you practice your right to vote because it's the only way to speak your mind and be heard, represent those who cannot vote, and your vote really does count. Speak your mind and be heard. How will the outcome of this election affect you? In this election, as Sean said, there's really differing opinions. Like Mitt's opinion is pretty much opposite of Barack's, especially on the points that are important to us. For abortion and birth control, Obama supports abortion rights and thinks that you should have the right to choose, and Romney doesn't. So if that's important to you, you should really say, because depending on who wins, it could really change our rights. Gay rights. Obama supports legal recognition of same-sex marriage, and Romney opposes it. Education, which we're all here in school, so that's obviously important to us. Obama has what's called the race to the top, where he rewards winning states with billions of dollars for pursuing education, and Romney says that it makes sense, but he wouldn't do it himself if he was president. And Obama has done a lot for college students with financial aid, so if Romney gets elected, maybe we wouldn't get so much help anymore. Suffrage is the right to vote, and until 1971, we didn't have it. So we should vote for who fought for us to be able to vote. Like in that video, it showed like for all kinds of groups, there were people who fought to be able to vote, and we should really vote for them because without them, we wouldn't have the right. And other countries still don't have those rights. And we might have family that came from other countries that still don't have that right. Vote for those who cannot vote, like you have younger siblings, for their future education, and for your kids, and for the people that came before you. And also there's strength in numbers, so like us together, if we would all vote, it would mean so much more than just one person. You can't just say somebody else will do it. And some elections have been decided by one vote. A state representative in Texas lost his election by one vote. And if there was one more vote per precinct in Florida, Al Gore would have been elected in 2000. And even like right now, people might think that Barack Obama's winning, so they might be like, I'm not going to vote because he's going to win anyway. But here it shows that if more people that are in favor of Mitt Romney show up and vote for him, that he could win, no matter how in favor Barack Obama is now, or right before the election. Pros and cons of voting. The pros are that you get to speak your mind and be heard, but the cons really don't even weigh up to it. I mean, if you're lazy and you don't want to have to get up and do it, then that's a con, but it really doesn't, I don't think it even weighs out. And here's just a little image of Barack Obama kind of making fun of people who don't vote. And you can register to vote on rockthevote.com. And I thought that this was really a good site because here we might not all be from Pennsylvania, and you don't have to be. You just select your state and it sends it. And if you have any questions, yeah.
So you say you vote on rockthevote.com, or you register to vote?
You register to vote. like, I registered from Pennsylvania, so I had like a sheet just for Pennsylvania, but I thought that this was really good for us because, like, what, are you from Pennsylvania? Yeah, so you could go on the same places I could go on and register. And those are expenses.
Do you do that even if you're registered or if
No,
you
that's
haven't?
to register.
If
Yeah.
you haven't?
Yeah, and also I know a girl approached me on campus that they were having buses to vote, so I thought that was really good too. Like that.